I am building a dating app for remote workers and digital nomads. In the previous episode, I reviewed my persona for Stamps, my new dating app. And yes, the persona is me, a product designer that works fully remotely and doesn't mind traveling for love or meeting potential partners around the globe. Last episode, I went over all of the competitor research and I started laying out all the features that I've put together, and at that point I already had a plan in my head on how to build my wireframes with all this information. But then the doubts came creeping in. Why would anyone use another dating app? What is Stamp's added value? And what can I do that has never been done before? Then I remembered this tech talk I attended on Figma's Config. It was by Apple Vision Pro, and they were talking about how the Vision Pro interface meshes with the real world and opens up a ton of possibilities for augmented reality. I immediately Googled dating apps for Apple Vision Pro. Bingo. Now, this idea isn't perfect. First of all, Apple Vision Pro is extremely expensive, so this dating app is only going to be for rich people. Second of all, I don't have an Apple Vision Pro. I don't even know how it looks like other than what I've seen on YouTube. Not only me, Apple Vision Pro has been bought by like 200,000 people. That's a very small dating pool, but we're building a conceptual app and it sounds like future Yale's problem, so let's just go for it. And the biggest challenge that the Vision Pro solves is how can remote people that live in different places can date. And so what I'm thinking is that the flow starts on a mobile app, and then when they want to go on a date, it's a virtual date on Apple Vision Pro. By the way, side note, I'm currently watching Love is Blind UK, and Sam is just another whole reason to keep hating product managers. I'm just gonna put it out there. Before we dive deep into the wireframes, hi, I'm Ellie. I'm a senior product designer. I work at Chainlink Labs. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, please subscribe to this channel, like this video. And if you already know me and you haven't subscribed yet, first of all, what the fuck? I'm a new channel and each like and subscribe really helps me. Let's dive deep into the wireframes. You will see that I grouped it into 3 sections. So the first one is going to be the onboarding, which is going to be the section on the mobile before we get to the AR. And then for exploring matches, I'm going to have both wireframes for mobile, because I'm assuming it can be both on mobile experience and a Vision Pro experience. We're going to get into it and I'm going to need your help in the comments. So be sure to watch until the end and let me know what you think I should do. And the third section is my profile, like the user profile, everything regarding to settings, dating preferences, editing profile, etc. And the first section would be the onboarding process. And if you remember, I did say that I want this app to be for like serious people. So my goals for the onboarding is to see that people are serious and are willing to spend time on potentially finding their future person. I did say that I want them to answer questions, and then these questions are gonna like determine the match percentages, kind of like OkCupid. So I do want them to answer questions. Let's talk about how we're gonna do it. The second goal is to get to know what they are looking for in a partner, and by that I can give them better matches. Get at least 10 questions answered. That's kind of similar to the first one. And the last thing is to authenticate the users. I don't want bots or unreal people. I also had this one comment of like prevent catfishing, but we'll get to it. So I think the first screen in the onboarding is basically, you know, full name, date of birth, gender. I think that like job and love language, or like are you an extrovert, introvert, like more personal questions, I think it could be maybe later on in the flow. And I did have like a most adventurous experience as the bio in a fairy trail. We had like story time, like the most adventurous experience. This is instead of just a boring bio about me section. You know, to prevent people saying, if you want to know about me, just ask, I'm an open book. We don't want that. The second step is going to be the interest, so my dating preferences, and then of course the authentication. I think it was in Fairy Trail as well, like I like the 99.99% real users. I do think that in this step I need to kind of like explain the rationale of why we're doing this and why it's important to authenticate, because you know, it's an annoying step. And the authentication process of Tinder is basically, I think you have like 3 or 4 poses and then they see if the images match each other. I wonder if it's like a legit authentication. Maybe tell me in the comments if you're like a software engineer. I would love to know what you think about authentication. Maybe there's like a better way to do it, but I want to do it. I want this feature. While I was doing it, in every one of my video, I say, give the users value before you ask them to do like hard work and work for you. And I feel that this onboarding process can be very, like, you know, you're asking me lots of questions. I don't like that. So I'm gonna have to figure out how I'm adding value and giving them value as they go. One of the things that I thought about is actually a feature that Arc has, and I love it. Of course, as you know, I'm in love with Arc, the browser company. Everything they do, wow, I'm in love. When I was now in config, their talk was so good. And they explained about this card that you get when you just sign up. She said that the inspiration for this was her dad. Her dad was like a software engineer and he had this kind of code punching cards. And she said that she really wanted leaving the user with something. The user gets something that you can save. I really loved it. And I remember when I just signed up to Arc, I was like, oh my God. So I am thinking of doing something like this. I'm thinking maybe it can be like a boarding pass, you know, because we're like remote workers, we can travel. This design, by the way, is from Dribble. I don't remember who designed it, so I'm sorry. If you see it and you want to be credited, let me know in the comments. I don't know which step of the way I'm gonna use this. By the way, I forgot to give some background on what wireframe is and why we need it. Basically, in every design process, you don't just start designing things from scratch. You have 3 levels of wireframes. You have the low fidelity wireframes, which is what you're seeing here, bunch of rectangles and kind of more like a brainstorming ideas and put things on the screen. Then we have the mid fidelity screens. They seem more like an actual app, real buttons and real text fields and input fields, etc. And then we have the high fidelity wireframes, which is, you know, the closest you can to the actual design. And just to say, if you're building your portfolio, please, wireframes are not supposed to be pretty. Wireframes are not supposed to be pretty. It needs to be fast. It needs to be quick and dirty. Look how ugly that is. If you will just show me the end screen and the only thing that you're showing me as a wireframe is the exact same design in grayscale, that is not wireframes. And that's what I keep seeing in portfolios. And it drives me absolutely insane because that's not a real wireframe, because I would rather just see the final screens and not see the exact same thing in grayscale. It makes absolutely no sense and it's bad user experience on your side. That was my hot take. That was the onboarding. Now let's get to the actual fun stuff. The users have onboarded, they answered all the questions, we verified them, and now they start the fun part. To explore matches, I have 2 like main goals. First of all, I don't want to have infinite swiping. One of my ideas is maybe showing the users like a few profiles that they can choose from, but I'll get to that a bit later. The second goal is to feel seen and listen to beyond the photos and the initial flirt. I don't want it to be like photo based. I think that it creates like very superficial experience. So what I was thinking, and this is where I need your help, I really want to get your input. If you would use this app, like I'm gonna present the flow as I imagine it. Here is how it works. You have the user profile, but you can only only see one photo. You can see like the short bio, which can be the experience that we said before, the age, if they're fully remote, but you can only see one photo, and you see why we think you would match. So for example, you match in like 98% based on the questions that you answered, and maybe it can be also, you know, like an algorithm that match from like love language, you know, you're both like physical touch, so we think you're gonna be a good match. I'm not even sure how the algorithm will work. I would want to talk about it with a very good friend of mine that's a software engineer. He wanted to be on this episode, but we couldn't find the time. So John, if you're watching this, I need answers for all the algorithm questions. If you want this app to be built and not just stay in the designs, comment, John, let's build this app, and John, let's build this app. Anyway, where I was going is that you can only see one photo, but you see more, like you can read about the person and you can learn more about the person beyond their photos. There is no option to just like. If you like someone, you have to message them. Hinge did the research and they found that the first message was responded within the first 24 hours. There were 72% more likely to result in a date. That's a crazy number. So I want to push people to start talking. And that's why I won't let them just like someone. You have to send a message. After you send a message, I think I'm gonna give them 24 hours to respond, kind of like Bumble. And if the other side matches and, you know, starts the conversation, then you get to see one more photo and maybe even more prompts, or like learn more about the person. So you're not seeing the full profile just yet. But if the conversation is flowing and you reach a 3-day streak while you're talking every day for 3 days, then you have like this fun message, wow, the conversation is flowing, and you unlocked the user's full profile. That's where you can see the user's full profile with all the photos, all the info, and really get to know each other. After you unlock this step, you get to the full profile and you decide to go on an AR date with the Apple Vision Pro. So you can chat and like it's time to go on a date, select your date settings. You can choose like an option which is like an adventure. I don't really know all the apps that are on Apple Vision Pro, like walking on a beam, and it was like kind of scary. Maybe we can do something like that for a date, crossing a bridge or whatever, and then it's like it's gonna get them closer together. Maybe it can be going to a bar, and I actually have an idea for that. It's gonna be in the next episode. And the third option is maybe to like have some sort of a game, maybe like a trivia game. These are my ideas for now. Of course, let me know in the comments what you think. And then they go on a VR date, which I don't know how I will plan. I really need to research that. So that's the flow of how they're getting to know each other. I really want to know what you think about it. And that's a mobile version in the AVP's Apple Vision Pro, by the way. In that version, I explored my other idea that every day you get 3 daily matches. And for example, so I can see like these 3 cards. So this idea I kind of stole from Tinder. If you know the secret admirer, you see these cards and one of these cards like you. So I thought it could be really cute to have like a hot seat, and maybe these seats can be like, you know, like windows, like an airplane, because it's like remote. I don't know, like what's behind curtain 1? That's the connotation I had in my head. And then you choose which profile you want to like get to know more, and then you click it and you see all the pictures. You can see the, I don't know if it's called avatar, my augmented reality version of myself. By the way, that's one con for Apple Vision Pro. I don't like how they make people look like. I think it's like a bit ugly. Anyway, you can see their name and like user profile, and you can see the pics and the avatars here. These are the 2 options that I currently have for get to know someone. I still don't know which one is better, so please let me know. Then we get to my profile. So the goals in my profile is obviously change or edit my info, but I also want to make the users answer more questions. One of the ideas that I have is to kind of have, you know, 2 tabs, like Like the first one is going to be the general one. Then I'm going to see like my boarding pass, which is my card that the app has gave me. And maybe the second tab is going to be like the question. It's very unclear in my head. I tell you what, I don't like that they have so many screens. So this is the first screen of the my profile. So get more is like, you know, promotional stuff, and then my hinge, I don't even remember what it is. But then when I click my edit profile, I have another two tabs, which is edit and view. And then if I click the settings, and if I click here, it's like dating preferences. At first I'm like, why won't I put everything in tabs? But then I'm like, I don't know, how often do people edit their profile and change their preferences? I'm still on the fence about it. I am not sure which is the best way to go about it. I just know that the current experience that Tinder and Hinge have, I don't like. This is where I'm at the moment. I really want to know, what do you think about it? Which is the better flow in your opinion? I really hope you enjoyed it. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell so you'll be notified of my next video, and I will see you in the next one. Ciao!